Hi there, this is Wasim Asghar. If you're studying for PE Power exam, you know that section number 1, General Power Engineering, and section number 4 are the two heavy hitters on the exam. In this video, I'm going to go over a subtopic within General Power Engineering under applications, which is called reliability. And you'll see me answering some questions that I received from my students during a live training session. If you're interested in learning more about my PE Power exam preparation program, feel free to visit my website, www.StudyforFE.com. And before we dive into the content, I would really appreciate if you could like this video and subscribe to this channel for additional content related to exam preparation. Thank you. So this is a question that a student of mine asked. The student is asking that I'd like to inquire about the formula for reliability, which is not found in the reference handbook. Is it accurate to assume that the formula will always contain hours per year as it becomes unitless when solved? I recollect that both reliability and failure rates are formulas that are unavailable in NCS handbook. So he also included this screenshot from somewhere, right? Reliability principle, reliability indices. And reliability, as you probably know, is not a concept that is limited to electrical engineering. In fact, mechanical engineers, those who work in um, maintenance, use these indices and formulas and equations. They actually have certain metrics using which they design their maintenance procedures, standard operating procedures, and so on and so forth. Okay, so how would you guys respond to this question? What is the crux of the question? What is essentially the student asking over here? Can you zero in? And I know one of the student who asked this question is on the call, so I would suggest that you don't provide the answer, but the rest of you, what is the heart of this question? What is the premise? What is the gist of this question? Anyone? I would say time can be set to whatever time frame you want. So you are right. It is about the time frame, right? It is about the time frame, and essentially what he's asking is right here. As it always contains hours per year. In other words, do we always calculate reliability, availability, downtime on an annual basis? And the answer is yes, unless mentioned otherwise. And what is the number that you associate with per annum or per year? You know, there's a number exactly 8760. When you go to the reference handbook, do you come across this number 8760? Is it mentioned? Where is it mentioned? 8760. I don't recall seeing 8760. It's not mentioned. Under reliability, it's not mentioned. Elsewhere, it might be, right? So 8760 is 365 multiplied by 24 hours per day. Okay, so remember this. So the answer to this question, this is my response. This is the response that I provided to the student. And it's pretty simple, straightforward. Unless mentioned otherwise, reliability is calculated on annual basis. Okay. Now a follow-up and a little bit more deeper review, general review, is that general comment is that pretty much every knowledge area that you're going to encounter within PE Power contains assumed knowledge. Okay, whether you like it or not, the PE Power exam assumes that you have a certain level of baseline knowledge. And unlike the FE electrical and computer exam, where I would say majority of the equations and concepts that you need to know, uh, they pretty much cover it very well. And if you want to take a look at it, pick up the sample exam for FE electrical, pick up the sample exam for PE power, compare it side by side, and you'll get an idea that maybe 80% of what is included in the FE sample exam, you can relate back to, circle back to the reference handbook. The same cannot be said for the PE power exam. So assume knowledge. Now, your follow-up question is, do I need to remember this equation? Well, I don't think it's too difficult to remember and hold on to the fact that there are 8760 hours in a year, right? And again, if you want to take a first principle approach, then it's simply 365 multiplied by 24. Okay. And that is the reason why within the coursework, we take a deep dive, right? We sort of branch out into different knowledge areas that may be tangential, that may be a little bit of a stretch for what we are talking about. But it is important to recognize that it is a worthwhile effort. Okay. Now, one of the ways that you can ensure that you are able to cement these concepts pretty well is that you should try and do the quiz problems right after completing the lectures. And I know most of you are probably already doing that. So when I have multi-part lectures, I'm explaining the theory, I'm working through the concept, I'm working through in lecture solve practice problems, then I present you with quizzes. Don't put up the quiz for another day or for another week or for a second half of your exam preparation. Try and do the quiz problems right away. Okay, they might be easy, they might be difficult. For the most part, quiz problems are easier than the study guide. The mini exam is more difficult. The actual practice exam that I have in the course is even more difficult. But what it does for you is that you are able to actively recall what you just learned, right? So the learning and the absorption process is sort of a one-way traffic. You're basically engaging with the content and you're trying to absorb it as much as possible. But when you are tested, you actually have to recall the concepts, recall your comprehension, and based on that, you actually have to spit it out, right? So that's how you can significantly improve your level of understanding. Okay, and keep track of assumed knowledge. So if you want to, be a little bit more organized, so small tidbits like these, 8760 over here, maybe there might be something else. In lighting, actually, one of the questions that we're going to tackle in lighting is lux and foot candle, right? It causes confusion for some of the students. And I've already gone through that in a lot of detail in the on-demand content. But those small pieces, right? You can, feel free to create a spreadsheet or quick hit list type of stuff that you can keep track of. So Chris is saying that I like to recall and summarize what I learned the day before while I drive to work. That's great. So just a bullet point format, I assume, right, Chris? Jose is saying, how about when you are going a second round for practice problem? How often do that? I did mine a month later and forgot some things. Again, the focus, guys, is not on memorization, right? It is okay to forget stuff, but you should still be able to approach things from first principles. So as long as you're able to identify, okay, what was the issue over here? The issue was that do we keep a floating timeline for availability, downtime, reliability calculations, or in 99% of the cases, are we dealing with a baseline which is assumed knowledge? Okay. And that's something that you should know if you are dealing with any reliability problem. Okay. And the number is 8760. Make sense? Okay. Moving on. This is a problem that I have been asked to clarify multiple times via email. I actually updated the solution for this quiz problem. This is quiz problem number 2 from reliability indices. And let me read this question for you and let me just highlight what is the issue over here and why it confuses so many students. Okay, it's not an issue with one student, two students. In every batch, I have a handful of students who are asking me exactly the same question, right? So let's read the question first. Consider the following scenario for the next 5 questions. A manufacturing facility has 1 MVA unit substation installed for feeding a variety of electrical loads. Unit substation is operational 8,400 hours each year. Okay. And its mean time to repair is this much. Calculate the availability index of this unit substation. Okay, guys. Now, the formula for availability, if you look for the formula for availability, what do you find there? Exactly what the student has written over here, right? MTTF divided by MTBF. Mean time to failure divided by MTBF. And 90% of students who are asking this question are considering treating MTTR as 840, all right, and MTBF MTF as 16 hours. So what they're doing is that they're putting 8400 in the numerator, just like the formula suggests. And you guys know that MTBF is the sum of MTTR and MTTF. And then in the denominator, they're setting this as 8400 plus 16 hours. Okay. Right? So what's the issue in this problem? I actually elaborated the solution. I'm saying that the problem statement does not tell you, is not stating MTTF to be 8400. It is simply saying that the substation is operational 8400 hours per year. Okay. What is availability? Availability is simply total time available per year, okay, divided by total number of hours in a year. Okay. So this is where your conceptual understanding comes into play. Either you can get into a tunnel vision, plug and chug, give me the equation, give me the numbers. I'm going to plug the numbers in, use the variables, and spit out an answer without thinking about the complete scenario. Okay, guys? Is it making sense? So it is operational 8400 hours, 8,400 hours. Mean time to repair is 16 hours. So if you consider that the MTBF, mean time before failure, because let me actually sketch this out for you, it will hopefully make a little bit of a sense. When you use this formula, those of you who sort of struggle with this problem, if I use this formula that the student actually included in as part of his email, then what you're converting this scenario into is this. And that's where sketching becomes super helpful. You have just basically said that this time 8400 is when it is available. So you're treating this as MTTR. And then you're saying that 16 hours, it's too big for 16. It's not to scale, obviously. I mean, if this is 8,400, then 16 should just be a simple dot, right? But you guys get an idea, right? And then you're saying that this is mean time to failure, right? And this whole thing is MTBF, right? Because the failure occurred over here, right? It's operational. And then you have the MTTR. And then you have, this is how it's basically going to work, correct? Now, the problem statement is not like that. What is the problem statement telling you? The problem statement is just saying that it is available 8,400 hours a year, correct? Now, it does not mean that it has failed for the remaining, remaining time. It is just not available. Is it making sense, guys? So if we fall back on the fundamental definition of availability, which is the total time that it is available, the problem statement is very clear about that it is operational, available 8,400 hours a year, right? And that basically means that what we'll do is that the total number of hours are 8,760. We're simply going to divide it by the total number of hours. That's what availability is. Is that clear? Okay. So this is how you can sometimes overthink a problem. Yeah, right? You might feel the temptation to actually make use of the formulas that are given to you if your fundamentals conceptual understanding is not sound. So please be very careful. So carefully identify what's given and what's not given. Understand the terms conceptually as well as mathematically. Okay. If you like this video, then please don't forget to subscribe to this channel. Feel free to ask me any questions in the comment section of this video below. You can find tons of success stories of my FE Electrical and PE Power students over here. And if you want to learn more about preparation of FE Electrical and Computer exam and the PE Power exam, then check out these playlists over here. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you soon in the next video.